Thank you very much. Good morning to everyone. The upcoming G20 summit this weekend is being held at a unique moment, an essential moment. This gives us the opportunity to once again express the conviction and the faith of the EU in multilateralism in order to face the challenges that we are all facing. And we need to give a clear message of this across.
In many ways, tomorrow's G20 summit will be about what a post-COVID world will look like and what we want it to look like. We will discuss how to make that future more resilient, more sustainable and more inclusive. And I will share a few concrete ideas in these three areas. First, resilience. COVID-19 has come as a surprise to many of us, but it's not the first global pandemic, and sadly, it won't be the last one. So, how can we prepare for future pandemics? An international treaty on pandemics could help prevent future pandemics and help us respond more quickly and in a more coordinated manner. It should be negotiated with all nations and UN organizations and agencies, in particular the WHO. The WHO must remain the cornerstone of global coordination against health emergencies. A treaty on pandemics could complement its efforts. Second, this weekend's discussions will also center on how we can build a more sustainable future. Our focus this year is squarely on fighting the pandemic, but the threat of climate change is no less urgent today than yesterday. So, I will say a few words about how our climate goals are linked to our trade and finance policies. First, on trade. We firmly support open trade, and we need to reform the WTO to make our international trade policies greener. And we are working on making respect for the Paris Agreement an essential part on all future comprehensive trade agreements. And, as you know, we have decided to make Europe the first climate-neutral continent by 2050. We will not accept that substandard goods unfairly compete with European products and damage the planet. We are looking into establishing a carbon border adjustment mechanism to avoid carbon leakage. This mechanism would, of course, be in line with WTO rules. Climate change is a global challenge. We therefore need to create a green global level playing field. Second, the green transition is a huge opportunity to drive forward our economies, and to make this happen, we need massive investments. The private sector will be key to these investments. There are no global standards for so-called green bonds, for example, and this, in my opinion, a missing link and an area where we can make progress. We need to develop common standards for these green bonds that mobilize saving for green investments. The European Union has started work on this, and we believe the G20 should urgently address the global issue of green finance. Finally, how can we make our post-COVID world more inclusive? COVID-19 has hit the most fragile hardest, and G20 finance ministers have done good work. The G20 debt moratorium is a good step in the right direction, and it might have to be extended beyond mid-2021, but in our opinion, it's not enough. We are convinced that more debt relief is needed. All creditors need to do their share. No country must be perceived as getting a free ride. Multilateralism means everyone on board. We need a new model of sustainable financing for development, particularly in Africa, to break the cycle of over-indebtedness. Mesdames et messieurs, le moment...
Ladies and gentlemen, the moment that we're facing, the COVID-19 crisis has shown, sometimes in a very painful and brutal way, how interconnected and interdependent we are. It has also demonstrated the strength of multilateralism and international cooperation. We're probably going to be successful within a year to develop a vaccine, whereas in the past that might have taken up to a decade. So I think we have demonstrated the EU's capacity to provide answers, to provide support against the consequences of the impact of this pandemic. And we're convinced that the European Union, through the values that we defend and multilateralism, this weekend, for example, the G20, we're going to try to promote cooperation, common sense, the advantages of participating in these kind of structures so that we can increase our resilience and bring our contribution towards the answer. And hopefully tomorrow we'll be able to make that contribution. It will be interactive so that we can get things moving, so that in the future, tomorrow we'll be more robust, more resilient than we are today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, President of the European